Today's lesson is on factoring trinomials. Let's look at the steps for factoring trinomials. First thing is put it in descending order if needed. Identify A, B, C. Multiply A and C. Find all the factors of A times C. Select the pair of factors that adds or subtracts to the value of B. We're just going to add all the time. Rewrite the original equation as 4 terms, replacing the middle term. Use factor by grouping. We'll get to this step later when we set each binomial to 0. We'll get to that when we do solving. And check. So, let's look at this trinomial. X squared plus 8x plus 12. First thing we need to do is write in descending order. Well, it's already in descending order for us, so we don't have to do it. Next thing we're going to do is identify A, B, and C. A always occurs before the x squared. So what is the value of A here? Well, there's no number, so it's understood to be 1. So A equals 1. B, notice B occurs before the x term. That's positive 8. Remember to take the operation in front of the coefficient with it. And we have C as positive 12. Next thing we do is do A times C. Here we have A is 1, C is 12. So 1 times 12 is 12. I need to find all the factors of 12. And I'm going to start with 1 times 12. And also we have negative 1 times negative 12. Then we have 2 times 6. Negative 2 times negative 6. 3 times 4. And negative 3 times negative 4. Now we're going to add up the factors. 1 plus 12 is 13. Negative 1 plus negative 12 is negative 13. 2 plus 6 is 8. Negative 2 plus negative 6 is negative 8. 3 plus 4 is 7. Negative 3 plus negative 4 is negative 7. So what am I looking for? Well, I'm looking here for the B value. The B value in this column. What's B? 8. So I look down and I find 8. That's the column, that's the row that I want. So the next thing I do is take and break the middle term into 2 terms. I bring down my first term, bring down my last term, and split the middle 2 up. I want to have 2x and 6x. So I'm going to write 2x, 6x. We get an operation before the 2. Since the 2 is positive, I put a plus. Since the 6 is positive, I put a plus. Now we have 4 terms. Remember from our previous lesson that when I have 4 terms, I factor by grouping. Plus in the middle. Now I need to take the first 2 terms and make my prime factorization. X squared is xx, 2x, 6x. I need to treat 6. I have 2 and 3. Well, I messed up here. I should have left more space. X, 2 and x. 6, 2 and 3. Now I need 12. So I have 2, 2, and the 3. Is there anything in common with all 4 rows? No. So split it up. Look in the top two rows, anything in common, we have an x. So the GCF is x. That goes outside. What's left in the top row? X. What's left in the bottom row? 2. And what goes in the middle? Well, we had a plus, so we bring the plus with it. Let's look at the bottom two rows. What's in common? 2, a 3, and an x. So I have 2 and a 3. What do I do with the 2 and the 3? Multiply. So my GCF would be 2 times 3 or 6. Where does my GCF go? Outside. What's left in the top row? X. What's left in the bottom row? 2. What goes in the middle? Well, before the middle, before the 12, we had a plus, so we bring down the plus sign. Now let's put this all back together. What do you notice here? The insides match. So we've done it correctly. Insides go in the first parentheses. Outside goes in the second parentheses. Last thing we need to do is check. How do we check? We put the problem in Y1. And we put the answer in Y2. And we check to see if the tables match up. Let's look at a second problem. First thing we need to do is always try to find a GCF. Is there a GCF here? Well, tree 5 is prime. So there's no tree 5. BB 60, which is tree 60. I have 2, 2, 3, 5. And now I need to tree 55. I have 5 and 11. Is anything in common with all 3 rows? This time, yes, we do. So we have a GCF of 5. So let's take the 5 out before we start. It's outside. What's left after I take a 5 out of the first row? B squared. Bring the plus down. What's left after I take a 5 out is 60b. 2 times 2 times 3 is 12b. When I take a 5 out of 55, I'm left with 11. Notice we get these from what's not circled. Now the next step is going to be identify A, B, and C. When we identify A, B, and C, we want to look inside the parentheses. We don't care about the GCF. So what is my A? Remember, I find A in front of x squared. Here it's going to be in front of b squared. We have a 1. So A is 1. B, we find in front of the x term, or the here we find in front of b. So we have a positive 12. And C is positive 11. Now we're going to make our table. A times C. A is 1. C is 11. 1 times 11 is 11. All the factors of 11. 1 times 11, negative 1 times negative 11. Now we add our factors, 12 and negative 12. Which one do we want? Well, the one that has B. What's B? Positive 12. Want that one. Now I'm going to break my middle 2 terms up. 1x and 11x. so we put a plus. And we bring everything else down. This will be b's. We'll have x's and b's. Now I have 4 terms. When we have 4 terms, how do we factor? By grouping. So now I want to factor b squared plus 1b. Doing a prime factorization, b squared is b. 1b is b. I'm going to do 11b plus 11. 11's prime. So we have 11b and goes to 11. Anything the same in all 4 rows? No, it's not. Split it in half. At the top row, we have b in common. So my GCF is b. Goes outside. We have a b left. Plus in between. There's nothing left here. So what is b being multiplied by? We can put a 1. We can always put a 1. So we have b plus 1. Eleven's in common in the bottom. So 11's the GCF. Top row b. Plus, what's left down here? Oh, that's right, we need to put that extra 1. And have b plus 1. Do we need an operation before the 11? Yes, we do. We have a b. What do you notice? Insides are the same. Put the inside in the first parentheses, outside in the second parentheses. Let's check our answer. y1 and problem in y1, answer in y2. If we check this one, are our tables the same? I don't believe it is. Why would that be? Notice up here I had a 5. Where did that 5 go? Well, I brought it down. Where is it in the third row? Oh, we don't have it. We need to place that. And I need to put the 5 in front. Now if we put the problem in y1 and the answer in y2, do the tables match? Yes, they do. I'd like for you to try these 3 problems on your own. Try the closing. Before any factoring, always look for what first? What are the steps for factoring equations in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c? Explain how you would factor the following 2 problems.